revolution.
Well, hello. Here I am once again, up for a stroll in the dark. Fully recharged. We'll talk about some more things. And you notice that I always do a different introduction at the start of my videos with gifs that I make from edits from or snippets from the first 3 Matrix movies, the trilogy. Just have fun putting them together to get them to fit in time with the backing track, which is Revolution by BK. Just have fun making my own little short edits to coincide. It's about 1 minute and 11 seconds long. Just I always like to fit things in and just play around with it. I just like take different clips, trim them, and then I remaster them to give a better visualization, and then weave them together, try and paint a little story, the introduction, before you see my face on camera talking about more tales of the dark side. And as always, it's never ending with these docile individuals. They're stuck on stupid, they're stuck in the past, they're in a karmic loop. They literally can't believe that their life is falling apart and that they can't get away with things that they once could, or because they painted a false picture in their minds and painted that false picture amongst a community of fools who just easily swallowed up those lies, because at the end of the day they were flexing with other people's money, to be exact, my money that they stole from me, that they claim that they've never done anything wrong and they're so innocent. But we all know that's not true. We all know you're guilty as charged, and no amount of crying and victimization of yourself, trying to paint yourself out to be a victor, you're all backstabbing bastards. You're all fucking money grubbing traitors, and you knew, all of yous, you knew exactly what was going on. You knew who those people were who you accepted cash bribes from. You knew what kind of gross sexual proclivities, dark sexual fantasies, sick, dark sexual fantasies that these people were into. Because at the end of the day, these clowns who took part in the wider community were also into sick shit, sick sexual fantasies that you like to keep quiet. Midnight bike riders. What the fuck that was? That was he's the one singing. But yes, you're all You all know each other's secrets, and you all took the money to stay quiet, even though you knew what kind of fucking shit, sick shit they were into, and you know exactly the kind of sick shit that I'm talking about. You knew they were into molesting kids, and you sat there, you believed their lies, and you took my money that they stole from me and remained silent, and you let it play out to your detriment. And now all of yous are stuck in a quagmire. Giggity, giggity. And there's no exit, there's no way out, right? And people who are investigating you are well aware of your involvement and the parts you've played. They're well aware that you're all blackmailing each other, crying, wondering what's going to happen to you all, because you know, you all thought this was going to be over. Let's face it, 3 years ago you thought this was all going to be over, but it's not. And you know why it's not? Because you believe the lies of imbeciles who have had nothing to do with one, nothing to do with it all, don't know them, and they're still stuck in this delusional fantasy.
Yeah.
How do? All right. The Night Riders. But yes, you're all like this idiot from Ukraine, same as the fucking slap of the wheel, the fat imbecile. You're both stuck in the past, reminiscing of like past crimes that they so easily got away with. Because the reason why you got away with it so easily in the past is because these people didn't have the same purpose as my own. See, I'm here for a reason. I'm here to fulfill a purpose of great significance that's going to bring a massive spotlight, shine it on all these dirty bastards, these corrupt fuckers, politicians, celebrities, people in the healthcare facilities, doctors, nurses, all these corrupt bastards, right, who've been getting away with robbing people, stealing from them, removing them from their riches, their wealth. A team of these bent cunts. That's all part of secret societies and varying degrees of upper and lower echelons. There's a clip of Fight Club that I put in, which is very poignant. It's the description I'm trying to portray, a picture I'm trying to paint.
Look, the people you are after are the people you depend on. We cook your meals, we haul your trash, we connect your calls, we drive your ambulances, we guard you while you sleep. Do not fuck with us.
But they're everywhere, they're all among us. They could be bin men, there's solicitors, it could be doctors, nurses, they could work in a fucking co-op. Do you know what I mean? You know, they're everywhere. They've all been initiated on various levels of the class system, shall we say, to help paint a picture which allows them to get away. And these people you've targeted in the past, regrettably, they are insignificant. That's how you got away with it, because they weren't here on a sole mission, a purpose, as I say, of great significance. And you targeted the wrong one or the right one, whichever way you want to look at it. And it's just threw an almighty fucking spanner in your works. And all it's doing is just shining more light on your corruption that you can't get out of. Because no matter how hard you try, it's to your detriment. no matter what you do, no matter which avenue you pursue, it's all going to blow back up in your face. Because your time's up. There's no more chances. Patience has run out. Justice is here. And it's time for you to pay the piper. Because you all took your contracts. You all blindly fucking agreed and signed the contract without reading the finer print of what perilous doom awaits if you cannot fulfill your agreement that you signed up to. And let's face it, you have not fulfilled your agreement, and your world is colliding. It's eroding, it's destroyed, it's finished. You can no longer generate revenue to fund your sick crusade of perversion. And all the big players that you teamed up with. Because, look, in my eyes, politicians mean nothing to me. They're all corrupt, including that fucking idiot that's in charge at the moment. He's the biggest fucking idiot of them all, and he's being made a laughingstock of the world anyway. His fucking reputation's in ruins, it's in tatters. And, well, put it this way, the United Kingdom, as well as the Western world, is going through a lot of changes for the better. And all you corrupt bastards who believe you have power, right, are going to be outed. And let's just say, arsehole Tony Blair removed the treason laws in this country, which allowed you perverted bastards to get away with so much corruption that you've got away with. But what we're going to be doing is bringing back those treason laws, and all these wankers, including that arsehole fucking Mayor of London, that fucking traitor.
This is the extraordinary story of Dick Whittington. His parents were faraway people, and they dreamt of a better life. They made their way to the home people's capital, where the streets were paved in gold. He grew up with his other 6 siblings in the home people's capital. The home people called him mean names, so he learned to defend himself. He studied to become a lawyer to help more of the faraway people. He specialized in faraway people's rights and even helped them in faraway places. He joined the Socialist Party and won a seat on the Home People's Council. Next, he became an MP for the Socialist Party under the rule of Teflon Tony. He had many battles with Teflon Tony over the oil wars with the Sand People. Gordon the banker made him the Socialist Party whip. Next, he helped Ed the Red become leader of the Socialist Party. He resigned as a Socialist MP to become mayor of the Home People's Capital. He got to work quickly making the Home People's Capital more friendly to the faraway people. There were some cultural differences, to say the least. He said it was part and parcel, and the faraway people were our greatest strength. He said everyone was welcome, even the Rainbow and the Transformer people. But the home people got fewer, and they didn't like his decisions at all. He joined the other socialist leaders at the World Eradication Forum. He could finally make his dream come true and help the toolmaker's son take complete control. The home people couldn't believe what had happened to their country and wondered what would happen next.
He's involved as well. They're all involved on whatever level, right? Directly or indirectly, right? But you're all going to be on charges for treason, and we're going to have an almighty clear out, and we're going to be changing the system, and you can forget about your digital ID, because once my story comes to light, what you corrupt cunts have been doing in the government, picking on an innocent person, invading their privacy, trying to ruin their life, all because of you sycophants and you fucking dark perversions and your fear of change and your unwillingness to learn from your mistakes, well, everyone's going to see who you are. Everyone's going to find out just how fucking bent this country is, and all those people in government, civil servants, politicians, you know, all a bunch of fucking wankers. They're all sold out. They're all like the diddle kids that like to push grooming gangs under the table and use certain labels to try and, what's the word, relieve yourself of being like a fascist or a communist or a racist or a fucking paedophile. You know what I mean? It's like this race row. Like, racism is racism, right? But redefining racism to exclude yourself from being racist is by definition racist. So there's a lot of clowns who are very hateful individuals who are all part of this corruption, like to use buzzwords and non sequitur terminology to describe their insanity, like a carbon tax.
The UK recently completed a carbon credit system trial that sets a daily allowance for each person, a literal cap on your ability to travel, purchase food, clothing, and even heat your home, all rationed under the guise of saving the planet. Your daily carbon limit is capped at 40 kilograms of CO2, with food restricted to just 4 kilograms. So how does this translate to actual food? Well, according to the report, a packet of cheese accounts for 1.1 kilograms of CO2, over 25% of your daily allowance. Red meat? Forget it. If you spent your entire 4 kg allowance on steak, you'd get around 8 ounces of meat. While meat and dairy products have the highest carbon footprints, 2 slices of bread would account for just 3%, while a can of Coke just 4%. So basically, diabetes is on the menu. But don't worry, Big Pharma will have you covered, because medications and healthcare products will not be factored into your daily carbon limit. But here's where things get terrifying. They're not just suggesting it, they're testing it. Food manufacturers are already slapping carbon labels on their products. And let's not forget the food supply chain either. These policies directly threaten local farmers and producers, as red meat gets penalized heavily, while synthetic lab-grown meat is being propped up as a solution. The fashion industry contributes approximately 10% of global carbon emissions, with much of the impact coming from production and transportation, which is now your problem. A single cotton t-shirt will cost you 2.1 kilograms of CO2. Synthetics will cost you much more, and if you like leather, just buy it now. But you can save those carbon credits by purchasing used clothes. So, how about travel? The average person burns through 2.3 kg per day going about their daily lives. However, if you ever see yourself going on vacation again, you're going to want to start biking or walking to work, because a typical round trip via airplane from London to New York emits approximately 1,600 kilograms of CO2 per person, equating to 80 days of your total carbon allowance under the PCA guidelines. Heating accounts for a significant share of household emissions, especially in colder climates, with the average household burning through 6 kg of CO2 per day. The recommended solution? Be cold, or fork over a bunch of money to install renewable energy sources in your home. There's also an allowance for leisure and entertainment. Streaming services, gaming, or internet usage at home or on your phone relies on data centers powered by electricity. So, that will cost you. Going to a concert or a ball game? Well, that involves travel, lighting, and heating or cooling. Boom, pay the toll. You like gardening, DIY projects, or recreational sports? Those all involve resource consumption, and there's no free lunch in the credit carbon world. Now, you might be thinking, surely this is just a trial. Wrong. This isn't just being tested, it's being planned. In the UK white paper, they openly admit that their goal is to encourage behavior towards implementing this system. They're normalizing the idea that your lifestyle is subject to bureaucratic quotas handed down by governments that live in luxury while telling you to eat less meat. Surprisingly, here's where it gets dystopian. The system isn't about reducing emissions where it matters. The report itself acknowledges that 70% of carbon emissions come from sectors beyond individual control, including industry, exports, and military operations. But instead of tackling those, they're coming after you. You see, this isn't about reducing carbon, it's about reducing you, restricting how far you can travel, what you can eat, and ultimately, how much freedom you can enjoy. And once the system is linked to digital IDs and centralized banking, the consequences of exceeding your carbon limits are severe. Overspend on travel or food this month, you can be locked out of making non-essential purchases. And if you think that's far-fetched, China's social credit system operates on the same principles: track, regulate, and punish. And this trial isn't happening in a vacuum. Similar proposals are being floated globally. The EU's Fit for 55 program is pushing personal carbon tracking. The World Economic Forum published reports in 2022 advocating for individual carbon quotas tied to digital IDs. Even the Canadian Climate Accountability Act includes language that promotes integrating personalized carbon targets. As for the typical political hypocrisy, the same elites pushing this nonsense aren't giving up their private jets or lavish lifestyles. In 2022 alone, 1,040 private jets landed in Davos for the WEF summit, just so billionaires could lecture the rest of us about cutting emissions and personal carbon tracking. So here's the truth. Personal carbon allowances won't stop climate change. They will, however, stop you from living freely. They'll hollow out the middle class, decimate local agriculture, and concentrate power in the hands of the global elite. They're testing this in the UK, but trust me, it's headed here too. And many of us know that this is the cornerstone of left-wing politics. Whether we're talking carbon tax, green slush funds, mandating electric vehicles, or net zero, it is their hill to die on. And as far as I can see, it has very little to do with the climate and everything to do with control.
Are you trying to introduce carbon tax to keep us from eating meat and whatever? I realise vegans are not part of that sort of like agreement, as they like eating plant-based foods, but meat and eggs is good for you, no matter how much you want to fucking argue. Animal fats are good for you, they help to burn fat. I know I've been incorporating them in my diet and I'm just burning off the fat. And fasting's very good for you. It's very good, it helps your body to heal.
3 meals a day, please. That's not nature. That's Rockefeller marketing. Our ancestors didn't sit around with breakfast, lunch, and dinner neatly served. They ate once a day, sometimes 3 times a week. That was abundance. And you know what? They thrived. They were lean, sharp, and strong because the body is designed to function best in fasting. You ever wonder why you heal in your sleep? Because you're fasting. The body finally gets to stop wasting energy digesting junk and starts repairing, rebuilding, cleaning house. That's when the real work gets done. But you've been programmed. You think skipping breakfast is a crime. You think hunger is an emergency. No, it's power. Fasting activates cells that act like little soldiers. They march straight to the damage, clean it out, rebuild you stronger. That's real medicine. And yet the white coat will tell you to eat regularly. Why? Because the system isn't built for your health, it's built for your dependence. Rockefeller didn't give you 3 meals to nourish you. He gave you 3 meals to chain you, to keep you tired, inflamed, obedient.
Right, and it helps clean out all the toxins and helps you to rid yourself of inflammation and all kinds of ailments by changing your diet and fasting and drinking plenty of fluids, especially water. Right? Now this has been known for a long time. Right, this is nothing new, but you've just like such as the Rockefeller Institute, they've hid all these fucking truths to incorporate their fucking pharmaceutical garbage made from petrochemicals.
Around the same time that John D. Rockefeller seized U.S. media, he also hijacked U.S. medicine. When it was discovered that drugs could be produced from petroleum, America's top oil mogul ordered his army of propagandists to invert reality accordingly. Medicines used for thousands of years were suddenly classified as alternative, while the new, petroleum-based, highly addictive, and patentable drugs were declared the gold standard. After buying the German pharmaceutical company that manufactured chemicals of war for Adolf Hitler, Rockefeller leveraged his political influence by pressing Congress to declare natural healing modalities unscientific quackery. Rockefeller then took control of the American Medical Association and began offering massive grants to top medical schools under the mandate that only his approved curriculum be taught. Any mention of the healing powers of herbs, plants, and diet was erased from most medical textbooks. Doctors and professors who objected to Rockefeller's plan were crucified by the media, removed from the AMA, and stripped of their license to teach and practice medicine. Those who dared to speak out were arrested and jailed. When evidence began to emerge that petroleum-based medicines were causing cancer, Mr. Rockefeller founded the American Cancer Society, through which he suppressed that information. John D. Rockefeller is duly credited as the founder of the pharmaceutical industry, and the reason that medical error is currently the third leading cause of death in America. This is not an indictment against doctors. More than anyone, they are under the stranglehold of the single largest lobbying power in Washington. Every year, the pharmaceutical industry spends at least twice the amount as big oil to influence laws, policies, and public perception. Thanks to Mr. Rockefeller, the architect of American monopolies, no industry has more power over our lives than Big Pharma.
To keep the masses dumbed down, like reshaping the education system to dumb us down, to not ask questions, to be intelligent enough to accept the information you've been given, but not intelligent enough to question the information that's been presented to you. All that kind of jazz, you know. It's going to be a big shake-up. And like I say, it's not going to happen overnight. But what it is going to do, it's going to open the eyes of the people, not only in the United Kingdom, but around the world, just to how corrupt this fucking government is, especially the Labour government. You know, the Fabians. And the sigil, the Fabian Society, with the sigil of a wolf in sheep's clothing. I mean, they just put it right in front of your fucking face, you know?
The Fabian Society was born in London in the late 19th century. The founding members were a small group of middle-class radicals. These journalists, clerks, and civil servants were restless with the inadequacies of Western society and searching for something new. They wanted to remake the world in a more equitable way, heavily influenced by socialist thinkers of the time. This group had grand ideas for a progressive future. They knew that lasting change in Western countries could only come via catastrophe or a slow and gradual process. The founding members recognized that long-term success would best be achieved by reserving a low-key respectability. Working with sympathetic members of the media, they promoted themselves as a quiet intellectual group. They also sought to protect this reputation by the public excommunication of one member. Havelock Ellis, a man committed to sexual revolution long before the term or idea had been invented. The core ideas to recast society were agreed on and distilled into a manifesto called The Basis. Belief in these primary ideas was the minimum requirement for membership. It did not preclude other socialist ideas or objectives, but prioritized the core principles. The Fabian Society consists of socialists. It therefore aims at the reorganization of society by the emancipation of land and industrial capital from individual and class ownership. If it sounds similar to communism, that's because it is. The Fabians' aim was to slowly shepherd the world toward a socialist future. But unlike the communists, the Fabians knew that this could be achieved bloodlessly and over time. The society took its name from the ancient Roman general, who was famed for his delaying tactics. Fabius Maximus, the Concator, did not have enough men to defeat the invading Hannibal in southern Italy. So he fought a slow war of attrition, whereby the Romans avoided open battle and wore down the Carthaginian army over many years. And so it was for the new socialist organization. They adopted the name and the tactics of the great Roman general. Along with that name, they chose an angry tortoise as their mascot, with the motto, "I wait long, but when I strike hard." For a clearer idea of the Fabians' revolutionary spirit, we can look at the stained glass window commissioned in 1910, which is now located at the London School of Economics. The window shows two leading members reforging the world nearer to their heart's desire, and the assorted founding members praying to a stack of their holy scriptures, or tracts and essays. It's important to note that the Fabian coat of arms was a wolf in sheep's clothing, and the religious overtones of the window. The original members were quickly joined by other radicals who shared their worldview. Featured in the Fabian window, George Bernard Shaw and Sidney Webb quickly rose to leadership within the fledgling organization. Webb committed all his time and energy to the Fabian goals after marrying his rich wife Beatrice Potter. As an economist and political scientist, he produced a vast amount of the written Fabian works, including The History of Trade Unionism, which Lenin later translated into Russian. Shaw joined the Fabian Society shortly after its inception, long before he found critical acclaim as a playwright. Regarded as a brilliant polemicist and debater, the Fabians saw in Shaw the perfect man to help propagate and defend British socialism, along with two later additions, the future Fabian missionary to the US, Graham Wallas, and the well-connected civil servant, Sidney Oliver. These four were the leading lights of British socialist thought and action for the next 30 years. And that thought and action did not just thrive in Britain. Using tactics later copied by other Marxist groups, the Fabians exported their sinister brand of socialism all over the world.
But yeah, once this gets out, and it's going to get out, all your fucking control system's going to fold, and it's going to have ripple effects that'll spread out around the world as to just how fucking corrupt and deceptive and perverse these bastards are who are involved, who thought you could target me all for the sake of fucking keeping your secrets buried and removing me of fucking wealth, because obviously once I receive this wealth it's going to put me in good standing to fucking press charges on a wide variety of people, and this is going to open the eyes of a lot of people. And I've had to be patient, and I've had to wait and wait, because the longer you have to wait, the bigger the reward, because this is no small fucking scale stuff. This is huge. This is going to be a game changer. This is going to even the score. It's going to balance the scales of justice, and whether I want it or not, people are going to know who I am because of you fucking idiots in your greed for fucking wealth and power, and to try and retain that wealth and power through fucking wars and all kinds of fucking corruption, and how the banking infrastructure is going to be seriously curtailed and restricted, and these international bankers can go and fuck themselves, because they're the ones who control both sides, controlled opposition, so no matter the outcome they remain the victors in their conquest for fucking world domination in their one world government, which is, you know, to a lot of people just goes straight over the fucking head, because not a lot of people are wide awake as what I and others are to this agenda. But like such as carbon tax.
Control structure for taking over the United States and the rest of the world has been revealed. Please check this out.
The biggest part of the Great Reset that you're all missing is the carbon credit scan. And what is the carbon credit scan? This is where they're telling you where they want to monitor, track, and trace every so-called kilogram of CO2 that you emit. And they say the global average needs to be 2 tons per person per year. And you're using 16 tons per person per year, which means your activity has to go down by 800%. So how do they plan to do that? Well, first of all, they got the new first MasterCard in the world that is going to show a carbon allowance for every single purchase you buy. And to make sure that everything has a so-called carbon credit, food, when you buy food now, if it's vegan, it's going to show you this nice low score of only 1 kilogram, 1.3 kilograms of CO2 per serving. Now, meat will be off the chart, so that's going to be a no-no. Check this out. If you go to a restaurant, even an Italian pizza place, they're going to show you the amount of CO2 for your dish. So literally everything you eat, everything you buy, is your clothes made of leather? That's going to cost more CO2 because it came from a cow. So every single thing you do is going to be tracked. Why? Because they want to put limits on how much you can spend monthly. They're telling you you're using 16 tons a year and they want you to use 2 tons a year. What does 2 tons look like? Well, check this out. Say you wanted to fly from Toronto to Amsterdam, and now Google, by the way, Google Flights shows the carbon emissions on that flight. That flight from Toronto to Amsterdam is 478 kilograms of CO2. That's almost 25% of your yearly allowance. But don't worry, if you go over your limit, they're going to charge you $170 for every kilogram. For every kilogram of carbon credits you need. This is how they're going to control where you go, how you're going to get there, what you can buy, what you can eat, who you can see. And now imagine that in a world without cash. And imagine that in a world where the government gets to control every single transaction. And this is why they're constructing 15-minute cities, aka prison camps, because when they put these carbon credit allowances into these cities, they're going to have you on perpetual lockdown like they did with COVID without having a virus. Thank you, everybody.
These are schemes of psychopaths. Cow farts are not dangerous, right? Methane's not dangerous. We need carbon. Why do you think we have trees? To absorb all that carbon and put back out oxygen to help for our fucking breathing, to breathe the air. You know, nature is our filter for healthy, like, air that we breathe, you know what I mean? And they're trying to chop all these trees down and then put in solar fucking panels on fucking farmland that could be tilled and be used for produce that's going to benefit us in the long run. But no, because he's so hell-bent on reducing the population so you can have all the goodness for yourselves and feed us fucking bugs and have a fucking digital identity, so if we go over our daily or weekly amounts, that you can just shut us off, like China. And their people are basically robots, slaves to a digital system for power-hungry children in the CCP. People that fucking arsehole Starmer has allowed to spy on the British people in the United Kingdom. Treason. That's why we'll be bringing back treason laws to hang cunts like you and your pals who took part on all levels, directly or indirectly. And the bell tolls for all of you. And the time's running out. And I'm just waiting now, because you all fee me, because I know too much. And that scares you. And seeing as you can't take us out like you could so many other people, or you're very afraid. Very afraid. And so you resort to all kinds of desperate measures to try and make me fear you. People who are insignificant. People who think they have power but do not. And like you silly cunts in the shadow government, you know, you wankers who got AIDS off the fat slapper and the Ukrainian idiot, the fucking tit Fanny Annie, the ladyboy tranny, who's like stuck in a fucking fantasy loop, stuck in her head, never to learn from the mistakes, perpetually in a karmic loop of unlearning. Yeah, you silly cunts in the shadow government. If it hasn't happened yet, it will. And you're going to meet my real family. You know, my real family, the ones that you can't do fuck all about. And they're just going to let you know just how fucking weak, feeble and useless you all are. So get ready for my real family to pay you a visit. Just to let you know that you fucked.
Do not fuck with us.
You're fucked.
And there's no out. I just thought I'd come on and talk quickly about that, just to get that message out. Because yeah, you silly wankers in the shadow government, you fucking know one, man. You just puppets, you just pedo puppets to the bigger pedos who print the money and cause all kinds of carnage. And while we have to fucking suffer for your fucking greed, wankers, parasites, arseholes, nonsense, who are no good for fuck all, who parade themselves around with a fucking plummy fucking accent as if you're fucking important. But you're not. That time's coming to an end. And you're going to see your fucking agenda crumble. And I'm going to be here to watch it all crumble. And a lot of you are going to be fucking hung for treason. Because we can't have news cunts running around. Because you're no good for fuck all. And I'm just waiting now. Patiently waiting. Because it's a bit of a deep message. I will just have to get out. Just to let you know that we're coming for you. And everyone's going to know, everyone's going to see. Because this is not just about a fucking inheritance that was stolen from me. This is bigger than that. Much bigger. Bigger than me. But I'm certainly the catalyst for your demise. And my faith is unwavering. And when you work for the Most High, who's going to sack us, who's going to put us out of a job, and the more you try to fuck about with us, the more you're just going to bring your own life to an abrupt end. And if you haven't bore witness to that yet, you will. And it's going to frighten the shit out of you. Especially when you meet my real family. They're just going to let you know what little fucking Mary Queens you all are. And how insignificant you all are on the grand scheme of things. And I have a message to get out. People need to know this message. People need to know who you really are. And that's why I'm here. To fulfill my purpose. And just, may I remind you that no matter how you try to stop me from fulfilling my purpose, you will quickly remove yourselves because you are insignificant, right? And if you have to be removed, you will be removed. Take the film Surrogates, for instance. Like, this is how powerful your demise can be. You know, when they shut off the system, it's just like a, hold on, click of the finger and you just saw all the people collapse on the floor, all the surrogates just drop like that. That's basically what you've got to look forward to if you don't stop fucking about. Because it's over. It's time for the world to see who you all really are. So they know. And so we can make changes for the better. To help the people. To help the many and fuck the few, because you're all fucking useless anyway. Fucking little fucking Nancy Ponces parading around like you're fucking somebody when you're not, because you have to get other people to do your work, and all those people have to do is turn around and just go fuck you. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Not a lot, because you don't have any power, because you're too spineless to do your own dirty work. You have to pay people to do it for you. All it takes is for the worm to turn, and then it's game over for you permanently. So yeah, so basically yeah, the imbeciles who all took part in this, you're all finished, right? You're all living on a prayer. Nobody's hearing them, right? You all took cash bribes from people who you knew were paedophiles, who were into the gross fucking sexual perversions that they're into. You too. That's why you scared for, because you're all caught on video doing your sick shit that you want to keep quiet. But no, that'll be coming out. There's no keeping that quiet. Everyone's going to know who you all are, and you're all going to be plastered all over the world, on the news, on social media, you name it. And we all know the fucking mainstream media's paid for by these fucking bankers who own all these fucking corporations such as Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. Yeah, but don't worry, that's all come to an end. You know, one world government is coming to an end. I already know it's come to an end, but you just haven't caught up with me yet, because you're too fucking backward and ignorant and heads too far up your own arse to see what's right in front of your eyes, even though you have the technology and the capability to see way to the future, to see how different timelines all converge into one gigantic bright light, one bright divine light. You all know your time's up. I'm talking about Project Looking Glass.
One of the caveats that I do have some personal information that I did get personally involved in was some information that had to do with the Stargates and Looking Glass, and more specifically the 2012 problem with those projects. The popular opinion of what's out there right now is that the project was shut down because there was a problem when we approached 2012. I've heard it described a number of ways, but to my knowledge, the problem is that the timelines converge on that point in time. And when you know enough about the Stargate projects and the Looking Glass project to know how string theory works and how the possibility of possibilities works, and how making one choice over here doesn't necessarily mean that the other choice couldn't exist at the same time. But once you get your brain wrapped around this subject, you find out that at the end of 2012, in an easy way to put it, the choices that we make become less and less consequential to the future. And eventually we're pushed into this bottleneck of time, no matter which choice we make. And that's important to the people that had access to Looking Glass, because they would use Looking Glass knowing the choices that they would make, and the future would pop up. The big mistake was coming up with the possibility of future. And when we started using a computer to say, well, if we make this choice, it's 79% possible that this scenario happens, and 23% are possible, or whatever, using round numbers, that this scenario would happen. The understanding at the time was that was realistic. However, if you go down the road further and free will continues to exercise itself on this game, that 79% possibility sometimes changes very, very fast. But if you look at the situation in a point of time, it seems very realistic that that's the greatest possibility. What happened was people, very smart people, began to figure out that something big was coming up. Something that made it so all the possibilities of all the future scenarios of any choice, any possibility that was fed in and observed through the looking glass inherently ended up in the same future. And no decision, no possibility changed past a certain point. That's the big secret. All possible timelines lead to the same basic set of history in the future. That is what sends everybody that has all of the information, that knows everything, into a blind panic. The people that know everything about Looking Glass, that have gotten all the reports and all the information, the elites of the world, probably figured out that that was the end of the game. And nothing could be manipulated beyond that point. When I was in the military, it would have been before '97 when I got in trouble. One of my particular areas that I was amazingly intuitive about is problem solving / mission planning, or more specifically, taking a bad mission and fixing it. Certainly knowing how string theory and possible futures works makes it so you can work your mind very quickly to see the reality of what's happening and decide what decisions need to be made to change it for a particular outcome. At a certain point, after they're done hearing the computer tell them this is what's going to happen over and over and over and over again, all they become focused on is how do we fix it? What I do know is that I was called in and asked to solve this problem, this timeline contraction problem. And I eventually did my due diligence and did all the investigating, and basically only had one piece of information, and that was reinforcement. The computer's right. The timelines will contract down to some inevitable thing. There is an inevitable event. It's been forecast, it's been predicted, it's been fed to us in a slop trough of what they want us to believe will happen. They don't actually have control over what happens. They only have control over the reaction, and it seems that no matter what they try to do to cause their desired reaction, it's going to have an opposite effect. Much, much easier for me to explain today what that process is as opposed to back then. If I had to give it a name, I would say it's the awakening process. It's an evolution of consciousness that cannot, will not, and no matter what decisions or possibilities are injected into the equation, eventually it all resolves down to us all learning the truth and becoming aware of this massive dam of lies that has been built that keep us from knowing massive volume of information that we should otherwise possess. Essentially what happened with Looking Glass, not only did they not want people to use it anymore because they knew it was just going to burp out the same thing, but at the same time they didn't want anybody else to know what it was saying, I'm sure. Because that information was of a monumental concern when I was in the military about how to prevent this inevitability. Now, at first I thought it was end of the world. Now I see end of the world as end of their world. The biggest cherry on top of all this conversation would be a synopsis to say that if I could convince everybody out there that, for all intents and purposes, what we believe to be true eventually becomes true. If somebody convinces us that a major disaster is going to happen in the very near future, a major disaster happens in the very near future. If we don't buy into that fear and accept that there's really nothing that we know is going to happen, and accept of whatever happens, that makes the convergence of the timelines happen as naturally as possible. Any attempts to try to go away from this one inevitable conclusion, I again see as a new beginning, an end of this reality, the beginning of something that we can't even possibly understand based on the level of our beliefs currently. But when all that information comes flooding out, there's going to be no denying what's true and what's a lie or what's illusion. Basically, what we're experiencing right now is two master chess players sitting at the board. And one of them looks down at the board and sees that he's in checkmate in 7 moves. And he looks across at his opponent and he knows that his opponent sees it too. So there's no getting out of it. So at this point, the loser can only prolong the game. Both players know the game is over. It's only a matter of time before he does this, and then you're forced to do this, and then he's forced to do this, and eventually checkmate. We, as a race, if we could understand that the game is over, that based on the rules of the game, the bad guys have already lost, the good guys have already won. Yes, there's moves left on the table, but those moves are being forced by the player that is going to win. The only way that checkmate can't happen is if the player that's winning makes a mistake. But from all of the information that I've gathered, all of the information that's been given, all of the information that's been vetted to me, it seems pretty obvious that the good guy player on the side of the chessboard knows exactly what has to be done to win the game. And so at this point, any mistake would be all but impossible. But again, you really have to understand the game to know that the guy that's losing is lost. And I'm sure most people sitting watching a chess match between two advanced chess players know the game's over long after the two players know it's over. Because they can't see the board and see that there's only 7 moves left.
You all know all timelines converge into one, and there's a white wall of divine light that you can't break through because the Great Awakening is here, and there's not a lot you can do about that. There's been a lot of whistleblowers getting the information out, but your time has ended. It's already ended. You're already finished, and I'm just here, a messenger from the Most High, to let you know I'd prepare for the inevitable, because there's no escape. You know there's no escape. No matter what you do, no matter what your attempt, no matter what desperate measures you try to execute or employ, it's over. It doesn't matter about the timelines that you try to manipulate. They all converge into one, because at the end of the day, no one is more powerful than the Most High God, our Creator. And when He says time's up for you, it's time up. There's no bargaining, you know, there's no reasoning. We're well aware of who you are and what you've done, just get on your knees and pray, because there's only one place you're going, and that's down. And yeah, oh yeah, and you know how, like, oh, just as a side note, this is a powerful message, but just as a side note, you silly cunts, that wanker fucking lawyer who you paid to be a fucking waste of space, and how you doctored that will that was left to me. Like I say, there's original copies, and remember, a lot of things got converted into digital, so that paper copy you presented in a court of law to that wanker fucking judge, who knew full well, because he was getting paid and he's a nonce, and he's all part of your fucking pedo club. You know what I mean? Well, the original ones have been found, because remember, there's digital as well as hard copies, and the original copies that's been secured doesn't have your name on that will, it has mine. And all in good time, like I say, all good things come to those who wait. And yeah, you fucked, you know you fucked. Your health's in a poor state, you're all dying, you're all feeling sorry for yourself, you're all playing the victim, you're all doing fucking whatever to try and make me feel sympathetic. Well, no, I don't, because you remember when you were doing it all to me, and you were all laughing and partying and ha 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 and slapping each other on the back as you were nonsense fucking kids, and bumming each other and munching rug and all that, and thinking how great you are and all the backing and support that you have, and now it's all just fucking fell apart, and like I was just left out in the wilderness on my own to survive and to sort of guide myself through. You know what I mean? Well, it's your turn now. It's your turn to figure it all out on your own, with no help, no one come to save you. It's your turn. And considering the state that you're all in, you're not going to make it. And I'll put it this way, just get ready for many acts of God in your life, because, you know, the baptism of fire and the wrath of God is something you don't want to be a part of when it comes, because trust me, it will terrify you. And yeah, I'll just think I'll leave it there for now. Yeah, I think I've said enough. I think I've done enough for this one. Another quick one. And yeah, I'll leave it there, right? And I'll come back with another one. So I'll see you later.